This show is brought to you by PivX, private instant verified transactions. With its groundbreaking zero coin staking and masternodes, PivX is the top privacy currency. Feel free to trade some on Binance or Bittrex. And for more information, go to www.pivx.org. Hello and welcome to ITK Crypto, that's In The Know Crypto and part of Smart Reach. It's me, Tom White, and alongside me is Cryptosi. We'll get to Cryptosi in just a moment. But first of all, to explain, this is our news roundup. We were doing weekly news roundups, but we've decided to make them a little bit longer and do them monthly instead, so we can get more content in each one. And it'll be more eagerly awaited by all of you, hopefully. And some top stories today. We're going to be talking about how Samsung have added crypto wallet to its new flagship phone. And speaking of phones, there's a new keypad on the iPhones is quite interesting for cryptocurrency users. Also, a bit of a backtracking from JP Morgan. So we'll get to that one as well. There's also a recent survey talking about how millennials are very much putting their trust and faith into cryptocurrency, and also talking about the current price of cryptocurrency in terms of where we're at the moment. Is it steadily increasing? Is it still going down? Because it was going down before Christmas, wasn't it? So we're going to get all into that straight away with Cryptosi. So first of all, Cryptosi, how are you?
Tommy, I am absolutely wonderful, mate. How are you doing?
I'm very well indeed. I tell you what we're going to start with. We're going to start with that Samsung news, Cryptosi, because I don't know how big you think this is, all right? So you can maybe explain it. That Samsung, it's a major announcement, actually, that I suppose it might give a strong boost to the cryptocurrency mass adoption because they've confirmed its new flagship phone, which is the Galaxy S10. It features, and I quote, a secure storage backed by hardware, which houses your private keys for blockchain-enabled mobile services. So what do we make of that?
Well, yeah, this is quite an interesting one. I think it's one that we really have to look into the small print, because as you well know, you can already store your cryptocurrencies on a mobile phone. There are already mobile wallets. Now, what I believe Samsung are doing is actually having a dedicated portion of the hardware just for cryptocurrencies, which will make it just that little bit more secure than historically mobiles have been. It's always been a thing that people have said, if you do have any crypto on your mobile phone, that you shouldn't have too much, because it's far less secure than a laptop is, and far less secure than a desktop, and definitely far less secure than a hardware wallet. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how Samsung implement this. Definitely a great move for crypto on the whole, just helping build out the infrastructure, getting ready for what we like to know as mass adoption.
Yeah, so I suppose maybe at first it looks like actually that headline isn't as big a news as it sounds like, but then, reading into it and making everything more secure, it can only be a positive thing.
Well, yeah, I think the only reason why it's not that much of a big deal to people within crypto is because it's not as if it's something that we couldn't see coming. It purely makes sense for these mobile phone developers to start to get ready for the onset of cryptocurrency. It's kind of like TV producers, people who make TVs, then having HDMI drives, HDMI sockets, and they're just getting ready. The infrastructure is just being built for what is an absolutely obvious curve of adoption. So yeah, it is great. It's just not a surprise, but it's very, very, very good news.
Well, we'll stay on the subject of phones. I can't remember what kind of phone you've got, Cryptosi. I mean, I've got an iPhone. Now, what
I've got a Samsung.
Okay, that's well. We can talk about this with a lot of knowledge comes. I've got an iPhone, and now if I go to my keyboard, they've always been able to have a pound sign, a dollar sign, a euro sign. That's been going since the start. But now there's a Bitcoin sign. So what does that tell you?
Yeah, again, it's just getting people ready for crypto, because cryptos are on the way in. They're not a flash in the pan, obviously. Bitcoin is now over 10 years old, and I think that it's just high time that things like the Bitcoin symbol were included in the phone's keyboard. So I'm not really I'm not sure if I'm assuming Samsung are going to have to follow suit. The good thing about something like that is it's not a major update for a phone. It's really a software update. So at any time, Samsung could follow suit along with a load of other Android devices. So yeah, I think it's absolutely great.
Well, I suppose it says that, I mean, if you think when you're typing a text or an email, maybe in the past, there hasn't been a great need for the Bitcoin symbol. But now, if so many people are talking about it, it's further proof of the growth of, I mean, not just Bitcoin, but cryptocurrency in general.
Yeah, because I guess before people, if I was to be communicating with somebody, I would say, okay, I'm going to send you £20 or £30 or $20 or $30. Nowadays, you can send money across borders so much easier than you could before, especially with crypto. It's a natural progression for you to be able to quickly type the Bitcoin symbol as opposed to typing BTC all the time, uh, which can get tiring, can't it? It can get tedious having to type those three letters over and over again anytime you wanted to say BTC.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Now I remember Cryptosi. I think we've done it on a podcast in the past. Actually, we talked about how, or maybe we've just talked about it, just me and you. Actually, how J.P. Morgan years ago allegedly called Bitcoin a scam. So I don't know whether you remember that, but it has now incredibly released its own JPM coin. Now I'll give you. I mean, this has been in the news a lot, but I'll just read one particular article about it, just a little bit of it. It says the largest bank in the United States and sixth largest bank in the world, JP Morgan Chase, which is known as JPM, will become the first US bank to launch their own cryptocurrency, and it will be called JPM Coin and will purportedly be used to increase settlement efficiency within three of the banking giant's own operations, with plans to expand to more operations through time. So, can you, I suppose, just explain what that means and how big a news that is?
It's the inevitable U-turn being made by the banks. It's the inevitable U-turn. While they were saying that these things are useless and they're a fraud, and I think in some cases they were even firing employees for having bought crypto or dealing with crypto at all. Now they've turned around and decided to invest in their own cryptocurrency. I guess the only caveat that should be added is that their crypto is only for settlements, which means it won't really be something that is facing the public. So it won't be something that you or I can buy. It will just be something that they'll use on their own back end to kind of speed up and in some ways slightly decentralize their own databases, or distribute them better, I guess is a better way of saying it. Distribute their own databases a little bit better. So it'll give them benefits in that it will be cheaper for them to conduct settlements than it would have been regularly. So I think for them it's good. It really has been interesting to see how people within crypto have actually responded to this news, because there's been a very, very mixed reaction, with some people kind of taking my sort of stance, which is kind of like, well, fair enough. We knew they were lying all along. We knew that they weren't being 100% honest with us. Not surprising, because they are banks after all. And now that they're using the technology, it's kind of like a good thing for adoption, just in that it gives the technology a bit more credibility. It's no longer just the tool of drug dealers and gun runners. Now it's something that the biggest bank in America and one of the biggest banks in the world are using. So some people will take on that side. Other people are a lot more cynical and a lot more skeptical, and they kind of see it as JP Morgan have already done their best to push the price down. Now they're getting in on the technology. It's obvious that they've been buying their own, not shares in Bitcoin, but they've been stocking up on Bitcoin. They've been hodling, as we like to call it. So some people have been quite annoyed by the fact that JP Morgan are now making such a dramatic U-turn, and they feel like, especially for the people that have lost their jobs, that perhaps those people have got a leg to stand on with regards to either getting their job back or getting some sort of compensation, because it's actually not really that fair, I don't think.
Well, It was quite interesting what you said there. There was rumours that they were sacking people for using cryptocurrency. Is that because, I don't know whether that is true or not, but in terms of the accusations, would that be because banks just were worried that it could put them out of business in some way?
Yeah, and I think perhaps that worry is slightly overstated. It's kind of like worrying that email is going to put the post office out of business. It will definitely take a bite out of their lunch, that's for sure. But I think that banks are, on the whole, have been a little too hostile towards crypto, and they definitely have been hostile towards it. I would have to agree that it's because they are worried that it will put them out of business. And I think that worry is a little bit undue, to be honest. I don't think crypto will put the banks out of business. I think it's just, I think it will just give people an option, and much needed option at that.
Yeah, well, adapt or die. That's the old saying, isn't it, in any walk of life? We'll move on now to our next subject. And what you might need to do, Cryptosi, is do quite a little bit of explaining to this one, because the headline is a second Bitcoin ETF under review by SEC. Now, before we go into some of this article that I'm reading, just explain to the listeners, first of all, who might not know what ETF stands for, and same for SEC.
This podcast has been brought to you by Rhubarb Media. Rhubarb Media are the branding specialists behind successful crypto projects such as PivX, Vendible, and Libertaria. The Rhubarb style is both loved and respected the world over. So if you want your project to appeal to techies and everyday users alike, give Rhubarb Media a try. You cannot possibly be disappointed. Link is in the description.
Okay, right. So the SEC is the Securities and Exchange Commission. I'm not completely understanding of what they actually do. They're an American group, which kind of means they rule the world, as Americans do. And what they do is they kind of make sure that people who are dealing in securities and I guess exchanges follow certain regulations and legislations that have been laid out. The ETF stands for an exchange traded fund. So basically, the things that ETFs can do is they allow larger buyers to enter and exit the market easier. So the idea and what people have really been thinking about and expecting or assuming is that when a few of these ETFs get passed, that it will allow really big money to enter Bitcoin, which will drive the price and the value of Bitcoin up. Now, I've got a slightly controversial opinion on this, in that I don't really see it that way. I feel that adoption is much more important than these ETFs, because people have really been waiting for these ETFs for years now. They're kind of, a lot of people are pinning their hopes on them. When's the ETF coming? When's the ETF coming? The ETF will save us and end the bear market. I don't think that is the case. I think the bear market will end, and I think we will get ETFs, but I don't think that one will necessarily influence the other.
I'm just reading a little bit more of this article here, and there's something here that says, the research head at Bitwise continued saying that despite the crypto bear market, there have been numerous development in the ecosystem, and a lot of companies are getting involved with it. Okay, now that's just a link into this quote. A little more than a year ago, we didn't have futures. A year ago, we didn't have nearly as many firms making markets. A few months ago, you didn't have folks like Fidelity announced in this space. It's evolving really, really quickly. Does that all make sense to you?
Yep, and I think that during the bear market is the best time to get in. It's obviously the time when most people leave and the fewest people get in, but during the bear market, getting in is really when you make the money. I think also that people who are or companies who are building things for the infrastructure and these real key pieces to the whole crypto ecosystem, if you will, they're not really too fussed about what market they enter in, because they have to have a real belief that the technology is worth building on anyway. JP Morgan obviously have that belief, and all these other companies are following suit. There's very, very few companies, it seems, that don't have that belief. So yeah, it's generally all positive, really.
All right, good. Well, this is our penultimate subject at the moment, and I think I know what your reaction to this might be, but the headline here does draw you in. 43% of millennials trust cryptocurrency more than the stock market. All right, now I'll read a little bit as well. Cryptocurrency investing. A new study has confirmed that millennials are the largest supporters of cryptocurrency in overwhelming fashion. In addition, the survey holds some interesting results for the landscape of institutional investment and the room cryptocurrency has left to grow in the event of wider availability. Now, with that, Cryptosi, I think the fact that millennials trust cryptocurrency more than the stock market, I would say that is not exactly big news because people, the older you get, sometimes you can be set in your ways and maybe not even know what cryptocurrency is. I think what has surprised me is the 43% seems quite high.
Yeah, I was actually quite surprised by that as well. I think it's definitely, like you said, it's a sign of the times. And when new technology does come along, it's almost always the young people who adopt it first, trust it first, look into it first, and are less set in their ways. It's one thing that a lot of people in crypto do kind of understand is that even if we don't see adoption in our lifetime, if we don't see mass adoption within our lifetime, it will definitely be something that the next generation or generations in the future will grow up with and will treat as the norm and will trust a lot more than we will. So it's not surprising at all. It's great to hear. It really is.
Yeah, people are clearly open to it. I mean, even since we started doing this back in was it May that we started I can't remember when it was actually that we started doing this. I can see the difference in attitude. Just the people we speak to who listen to this show for a start. It's completely changed. And actually, I suppose a lot of the people who I speak to, in my day job are millennials as well. So it all kind of does make sense. We've got one final topic here, Cryptosi. We always like to talk about the sort of the price of Bitcoin cryptocurrency at the time, because things at one stage when we did one of these news roundups, it was the lowest it had been for a long time. Now, at the moment, what people are saying is that the bull run has ended and the kind of cryptocurrency is settling into a sideways movement. So it's no longer going down, which is a positive, but it's not yet going back up, which I suppose, well, you have to say that that's a negative. Is that something that you're finding that is now a sideways movement?
Yeah, it's not just to correct you quickly. It's not the bull run that's ended. It's the bear market that people are hoping that has ended.
Yes, sorry, yeah, slip of the tongue, that one.
Yeah, so I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say that the bear market is over. It was really drawn out and really long and really painful. But I do feel now like the tide has turned. One of the main reasons why I feel the tide that's turned is because if you look at the price predictions that people are making, almost everybody is predicting the price to go lower. And what it seems to me historically is that almost everybody is almost always wrong. So now that everybody is saying, okay, it can't go up, it will never go up, it's just going to go down, it's just going to go down, it's just going to go down, and it kind of stops going down now, and over the last maybe week or so, it's really starting to recover. There's been some major traction. I think we're up maybe, or in terms of Bitcoin, I think we're up maybe 20% over the past week or so. So it really has started to recover now. It's really showing signs of recovery. So I would say, going out on a limb, I don't think we're going to jump straight into a bull run. I don't think it will be a ping straight back up to all-time highs or something like that. I think what we'll get is something similar to what we had in 2015 and 2016, where we had a kind of sideways movement where we'll probably stay within this range, maybe go up as high as 5K, possibly 6K, but it will be slowly. And I think we'll go up slowly until we reach the next, what we call Bitcoin halving, which will be in 2020 in the summer. And I think that will be the catalyst for the next bull run. I'm not in a minority with that thought, so I'll probably be wrong with that. But that's how I feel about the current price. I think we are starting to move sideways, which are positive because these things always are relative. So I'm super happy that we're moving sideways as opposed to moving down, and I think that sideways come before the next move upwards. So yeah, it's I think just like everything on this new show, which is a nice welcome change. It seems like all of the articles that we've picked this month have been massively positive.
Well, I was actually just about to sign off by saying exactly that, Cryptosi, because they have all been positive, haven't they? And in the past, certainly when we were doing them weekly before Christmas, it seemed to be bad news after bad news and desperately scratching around to get some good news. This one certainly much better.
Yeah, well, over the last, I think it's been maybe 3 weeks since our last news podcast. Over that time, there's not been any major chain forks or any major vulnerabilities or any major exchange hacks or anything majorly bad. So no particularly large governments have come out with majorly bad legislation or major hostility. Even the banks, who have been crypto and Bitcoin's biggest adversary to date, even they're now making a U-turn and deciding to jump on the bandwagon, albeit in a sideways step or in a quiet manner. It's just things are finally looking very positive.
And that is great news. Okay, Cryptosi, thank you very much as ever. Just a reminder, this is now a monthly news roundup. It means we can just make it longer like this one and get more stories. And hopefully it's going to continue to be positive stories as well. So we will be back in March for another. But remember, we still do our weekly interviews on ITK Crypto, which can be found on our YouTube channel. And also you can get all the updates on @SmartReach1 on Twitter as well. And follow me at Tom White Media or Cryptosi, which is it just at Cryptosi?
It's at crypto_SI, Sierra Indigo.
I see. Okay, so you can follow us on there as well. You'll often see me tweeting about sport, of course, given that my day job is as a as a sports presenter. But there's lots of crypto stuff in there as well. So thanks very much. We'll be back very soon. This podcast was brought to you by Meros Cryptocurrency. Meros is a cryptocurrency payment system that does what cryptocurrency originally intended to do. Be a practical and secure form of direct payment, Meros utilizes the best of current technology in a powerful new way. It introduces a groundbreaking consensus mechanism called merit caching. This enables Meros to be both feeless and instant while maintaining the same level of integrity of traditional networks like Bitcoin. To find out how you can participate in the future of crypto payments, go to meroscrypto.io now.